Hi, I'm Misty Moxley. I'm the director of Camp Odakoda. I just wanted to say welcome, especially if this is your first year with us. This presentation is going to provide a lot of information to prepare you and to prepare your camper, which is an essential part of our success. Just all the information here, sharing it with your camper can really help alleviate some meltdowns at camp. So I just wanted to introduce myself. This is my family. You can see here on the screen. I have 3 kids and my husband Ian, who started the camp with me. My 2 younger ones, Gage and Quinn, are both counselors at camp, and this year I think both of them are going to run a Dungeons and Dragons group, so that should be pretty popular. It's fun to have all of them there. So just make sure that you do watch the videos on each slide and that you are able to share the information in the Coming to Camp packet with your camper. That should be emailed with you along with this video. Things like the menu, the bunk sign, medications, things like that. So welcome again, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Hi, my name is Corinne Godfrey, and I am the behavior specialist for Camp Odakoda, and I will be there for any problems that arise with your kids. I have a background in ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, and I am a licensed behavior analyst. So that is where I will work with the kids to make sure that we don't have any behavior problems and that we can resolve any problems that arise. If you have any concerns about any behavior issues with your child, go ahead and reach out to me beforehand. And my email address is corinne@asdoregon.org, and we will work out whatever we need to. I look forward to meeting your kids, and I look forward to a great camp.
Okay, things to know about medication. So you will be receiving an email from us probably about 2 weeks before camp. This is when we collect all of the most current camper medication information. This is really important that you fill this out and get it right back to us because our nurses use this information. We put all the meds on little labels, and when the campers arrive, we load the meds for each meal or each time slot into a little envelope with a label on it that has their picture, their medication, their dose, and the birthday. So we really make sure that we're covered on making sure we're doing the meds properly. So please make sure you get us their most current medications when we send out that email. So we'll have that information, and then when you arrive at camp, you bring all your medications in their original bottles. We can't take anything that is in a pill box or anything like that. So medications and supplements in their original bottle. Now, another thing that's kind of sometimes a pain is that we have to administer the medication as the prescription says on the bottle. So say your doctor has said, well, go ahead and just double this dose. Well, we won't be able to double the dose if it doesn't say so on the medication bottle. So if that is the case, if your doctor has told you to do something different than the bottle says, please have them just send a note with it, and we will just include that in our records and do it the way that you have requested. So when you arrive at camp, the nurse will be there to meet you. She will collect all of your medications. Please bring them in a Ziploc bag. And there is a form that you will be receiving again, but it's also attached to the email, the Coming to Camp email. It's called a medication form, and this is a form you fill out right before camp, and you bring it in the Ziploc bag. So there's other information on there besides just medication. I think there's some swimming information, just some general health stuff. So please bring that as well, and you will just drop that all off with the nurse, and that will be it. So one of the things, please do not send all of your medications. So say your camper just had their medication filled and they have 100 tablets. Please only send enough for the week, maybe one extra just in case, but we don't want to have so many meds. So please just only send what is needed for camp. Okay, some of this we will talk about more extensively later in the slides, but just a brief overview. Here's some packing highlights. Label everything if possible, your towel, anything that can be lost, because the kids often just leave things on the floor, especially electronics. So if there are games or electronics that they're bringing, even if they don't want you to write on them, maybe a piece of tape or a way for them to distinguish which one is theirs, because that can often be hard if we find something we don't know who belongs to. Water bottles, bring a camera if they'd like to take pictures. We will be taking tons of pictures, but we won't allow phones outside of the cabin. So if they want pictures, they need to bring a camera. Don't forget a towel. Lots of people forget their towels and toothbrushes. So don't forget that. Sunblock we'll talk about a little bit more later, and bug repellent. And no food is allowed in the cabin. Our policy at Camp Odakoda is no cell phones. We have very limited service there, and so even if they did have a phone, there's no calling or even texting. Doesn't come through usually at camp. There is a caveat to that. I say no cell phones, but if your camper is someone who uses their phone for music or there's games that they really love to play on their phone, we will allow phones in the cabins at camp only at electronics time, which we'll talk more about later. But we request that you turn the service off for the week because we do not want them trying to make calls. We don't want you getting half calls that get hung up on and then you're worried. We want them to come to us if they have a problem. We want to help them through the independence of being at camp. So please do not send an active cell phone with them. We won't have active plans in the cabin. So we want to make sure that they can keep their phone. So please turn that off for the week if you can. Um, Phone calls do increase homesickness. That is one reason that we're trying to get the campers to connect with camp and so helping them through their homesickness. So if you want to check on your camper, feel free to call and one of us will talk to you about how things are going, probably me. So you can always try my phone. You can leave me a message, you can email me, or you can call the Camp Tapawingo phone if it's urgent. It's really hard for them to answer phones and then they have to come and find us somewhere at camp. So really reserve that for only if it's something urgent. But if you need to get a hold of me, I will check my emails once a day at camp. And I also sometimes am able, most days I'm able to get my watch. Someone will take it into town with them. And when they come back, I'll have all my texts. So you can also text me or email me. If a camper is homesick and they want to call home, we will try to hold them off until breakfast. We typically try to do all our calls home at breakfast. Generally, the campers are a little more tired and a little more emotional in the evening, so breakfast is a good time when they're looking forward to the rest of the day. If a camper really insists, sometimes we may call. We also just may call without the camper to find out, hey, is there something we can do to help the camper through something they're going through? Or do you have any strategies that might make things better here or there? So if we call, don't automatically assume something's wrong. We might just call to check in for suggestions. But typically we don't make many calls at camp and we don't get many calls at camp. If you are wanting to see your camper, please friend our Facebook group. Even if you're not on Facebook, maybe find someone who is so that you can see, because we will be posting hundreds of pictures every day and you can see how your camper is doing. Those pictures are private, so it's on our private Facebook page, and I'll make sure that I'll check back on our electronics consent form to make sure we're not posting people who don't want to be on there. But if you do want to see your camper on there, that's join before camp, because it usually takes us about 24 hours to get back to that to approve all of those. So that will save you the time and you'll be able to see right away. If there is a problem, we will call you. Like I said, it's pretty rare, but we'll call, and so you can rest assured that they're fine unless you hear from us. And be sure to just let us know if you need to hear from them. Okay. Our electronics policy. So we do allow electronics at camp. There are certain times within the day that we have built in for electronics. Mostly the main one is our siesta time. We have a 2-hour siesta in the afternoon where all the uh, campers are in the cabins and the counselors go on a break, and then the rest of us are in the cabins with them. We play games, or there's all kinds of other things to do, but this is a time when everyone has access to their electronics if they brought them. It's a pretty social time, so oftentimes campers are sitting next to each other playing a similar game or showing each other something they're doing on the game, and they get excited about it and they talk about it. So that is during siesta time. There are other times during the day, but it's basically up to the cabin counselors of that particular cabin. So some cabins will have a little bit of electronic time before bed or in the morning if somebody gets ready quickly, things like that. But that will be within the cabin parameters. Let's see, no M-rated games or violent themed games. We really try to be respectful and not expose campers to something that they would not already be allowed to do at home. So anything that's pretty violent or M-rated, please don't send that. The electronics can be accessed only during the times I mentioned. Siesta is a time everyone can access it, and then they'll be locked up in a tub all other times. So the campers won't have access to them. They won't be able to take their phones around camp. They won't be able to carry any of their electronics around camp, so it'll just be in the cabin. There is no internet connection, so make sure that they know this because sometimes they expect to be able to upgrade a character or do something that requires internet connection, and we do not have internet connection. Even for us, we have to drive into town to upload the photos onto Facebook, so there's no internet connection. And then, as I said before, make sure that everything is labeled. So this is the thing that gets mixed up the most. A lot of kids have the same games, they have the same consoles, or I mean, when I say console, I mean handheld, like I don't know, whatever they are going to bring, a Switch, something like that. Make sure that they're labeled so that they can identify which one is theirs. If you'd like to bring mail for your camper or send them a package, feel free to do so. You can bring it to camp with you when you drop them off, but please mark on the outside what day you would like it delivered, and we'll do our best to do that. Please don't send food or snacks or candy into the packages because we're not allowed to take any food into the cabins. They have mice, and so they're really cautious about allowing us to take food into the cabins. Even when we do snack, we have to do it outside on the porch. So no food, but also it does say, I believe, on the coming to camp packet, you can mail them as long as you mail them ahead of time. Put your camper's name and put Camp Odakoda so that they know, the people who run Camp Tapawingo is the facility that we rent. The Camp Tapawingo staff know that they're going to save it for our camp if it has our name on it. So if you'd like to do that, that works as well. Sometimes postcards or cards come in that way. But yeah, feel free to just hand it to me when we check in at camp. The other thing is we have bunk signs. So every camper and every counselor brings an 8.5 by 11 sign that has their name on it and some other things that they like. So oftentimes it's, pictures of things they like that they've printed out and glued on. That's probably the most common thing, but it can be anything. This is a really good way for conversation starters. So first of all, it marks which bunk is theirs and where their items should be located. And then second of all, it helps the other campers to be like, oh, you're into Pokemon, so am I. And then they can talk about that thing. So it just helps kind of to get the social experience moving for them as well as mark where their stuff goes. So please bring that. You can see that I just made a little list here, but it's just 8.5 by 11 paper-ish. And we'll just tape them up on the bunks. So our swag will be done a little bit differently this year. Every camper always gets a t-shirt. So we do a t-shirt for everyone and we'll do a group photo wearing our t-shirts. But the sweatshirts and hats and bags and hydro flasks, all of those things, we've done it differently each year. Last year we did an order form, which worked out okay. But this year I've actually created a store on our website. So if you go to our website, if you're on mobile, you have to click on the menu at the top to see the store. But if you're on a laptop or computer, you can just see there's you can just choose store at the top, and then that takes you to all of our products. Now, the most popular one is the camper pack because it has a sweatshirt, a hydro flask, and a bag with it. Anything that you order for your camper, when you check out, please just choose deliver to camp. Because we will have all those ready to go in bags and we will just hand them straight into the car. I'm the first stop at check-in, so you'll drive your car through several different stops. So I'm the first stop. I will hand you actually I'm the second stop. I will hand you the bag with the swag in it, and then you can decide what you want to take home and what you want to leave there. And we will put their name on the bottom if they have a water bottle or a shirt or something. We'll put their name on it so that they end up bringing it home. And so if there are other things that you'd like to order that aren't related to camp, we can also deliver it to you at camp. That's the easiest way. I don't really enjoy going to the post office. So I did put shipping as an option there, but it's really just if you're not going to be able to pick it up at camp, or for other people, maybe a grandparent or, a friend of a friend or somebody else who might want to order something that we have. I'm happy to ship to them, but if we can deliver at camp, that works out the best. At camp, everybody has to do a swim test in order to swim in the pool. This can be a really difficult situation. So please talk through this with your camper. So all campers must take a swimming screening. They must swim 2 lengths of the pool with correct form, so down and back, and they must tread water for 1 minute. Now, when I say correct form, they have to keep their body on top of the water. These are the rules of the Camp Tapawingo. And then if your camper cannot pass a swim test, they can wear a life jacket. So if your camper doesn't want to try the swim test, they can just choose a life jacket. But if they want to go in the pool without a life jacket, they have to do the swim test. So we try to do it in really small groups with just a couple kids, so there's not quite as much pressure, but it can be stressful. So if they are planning to swim, please prepare them that they will be doing the swim test. If they've passed it before, if they've passed the swim test in the past, we will be able to just pass them again. We don't need to see it again, but it's for campers who have not passed previously that we will need to do that. So sunscreen and bug spray, I know they can be really difficult for kids who have sensory issues. So we're always trying to find new ways to kind of help with this, but sunscreen is required if the kids are going to be in the sun. We get the last 2 years it's been over 100 degrees. Hopefully it won't be that hot this year, but we're really in the sun a lot, and so we need the kids to be wearing sunscreen. So please practice ahead of time if your camper really has a hard time with sunscreen. Or maybe do some experimenting and find some that they can tolerate. I know some kids can do the powdered sunscreen. It's a little more expensive, but it just comes in a powder, so it doesn't smell and it doesn't really feel weird on your skin. I get it on Amazon. So also sun clothes and hats can help. So if they're really a kiddo who doesn't want to wear sunscreen, a long sleeve sun shirt will help. Shade is an option, but it really excludes them from doing a lot of the activities. So we want to try to get everybody using sunscreen. Bug spray is really the most important time for this is just our evening programming. When we all meet up in the evening, there's usually a lot of bugs and there can be mosquitoes. So a lot of kids bring the little bracelets or they have the clip-on things that I don't know what they do, but that help with that. We also have some lemon spray, lemon eucalyptus spray. We try to, do whatever we can. Some years we have a problem with bees, so we have had 1 year in particular was pretty bad. Last year wasn't. But we used dryer sheets, which did seem to help. The kids tucked them in all over the place, and shoes and, backpacks and pockets. And it did seem to deter the bees a little. I don't know. It made the kids feel better, whether it actually helped or not. But so just be aware of this. Bees aren't usually a problem, so don't, hopefully no one is deathly afraid of bees, but it was just an example. So please practice using sunscreen and have some sort of bug repellent for your camper to use. I already touched on this before, but we will be posting pictures on our Facebook page. Please try to friend us prior to camp because you'll be waiting for us to accept your friend request, and it's a private page. So if you said on your camper application that you did not want your camper to be photographed, then we won't include them in the Facebook photos, but you won't be able to see. So I know sometimes people change their mind when it comes to this part because they actually do want to see. So let me know if you've put something in your application and you'd like to change it, whether you would like to change it to not having getting their picture taken or change it to having their picture taken. I will run a report right before camp, so anything that changes before then we'll capture, and we'll make sure we are respectful of that. So at camp, we have a lot of picky eaters, a lot of special diets, a lot of allergies. So we have an amazing cook at Camp Chapawingo that she is really great at accommodating, and she's just really kind to the kids and makes them feel like it's fine to have something different. But she's also a really good cook. So the food there is actually pretty delicious, and a lot of kids end up eating things that they don't normally eat just because they're so hungry. They've been exercising, and they'll eat stuff because it smells good and everyone else is eating it. But please review the menu with your camper ahead of time. It will be emailed in the coming to camp packet. And if there are any meals that your camper is not going to eat, then you can send a meal labeled with that date and which meal it is, and the cook will actually just hook it up, warm it up for you. She won't be able to cook anything or prepare stuff, but she can definitely microwave things. So anything prepared like in a Tupperware or sometimes a can of chili or something easy that she can just heat up for your camper. If there are things on the menu that they will eat, but maybe a little different version. So like when we're having spaghetti, if they'll eat noodles with butter, write that on the menu and give that to the cook with their name on it. So just some stuff like that. But if you do send any food, please make sure it's labeled with their name, the meal, the date, and the food can be heated up. And then additional snacks and drinks can be left in the kitchen for campers, and they can access that during the regular snack and meal time if they want, or other times. But we have basically throughout the day, there's snack time in the afternoon at I think 2:30, and then there is another snack time like around 7 or 8. So we always have at least 2 snacks a day, and we have goldfish available, otter pops, string cheese. Depending on who has allergies, we typically have some sort of granola bar, usually no peanuts. And then at night we have a dessert, so we'll have like an ice cream sandwich or something, but also string cheese and goldfish will be available at those times as well. So if your camper needs something different during the snack time, it can be accessed through the kitchen. So you'll just drop that off when you drop your camper off, you'll stop and you'll drop that off with the cook. Her name is Jane. She'll be, I think, probably the last stop. After you drop off your camper, you'll stop and give her whatever food and whatever directions you need to give her. So we do have campers who can't eat any of our food. They're on very restricted diets, and they will bring a cooler with all of their meals labeled. And that's when that person definitely would need to talk with Jane and make sure she understands everything that you have planned in the cooler, and then she will pull it out at each meal and make sure that it's heated up appropriately. Many of our campers are on special diets, so anything in our menu can be done gluten-free, but you have to pre-arrange this. So any kind of special diet needs to be pre-arranged. We have a form, dietary restriction form, I think it's called, and it's in the coming to camp packet. Those need to be turned back into us fairly soon. We have to get them to Jane I think maybe like the second week in July. So as soon as you get those filled out, please send them to us. Gluten-free is the easiest one to do. If there's an allergy specific, like a nut allergy, we can definitely accommodate those kinds of things. Let's see. I'm just looking at my slide. So we can do other things like vegetarian is a doable for her, but it gets kind of hard when it starts to be vegan. And so if your camper is vegan, they may need to send some foods, but you can always check in with Jane. Once you send those forms in, Jane will tell us if she has questions. So just write anything that you need on that form, and then we'll work something out with her as a plan before camp. I mentioned this before, but the food at camp is really good, and it's all kid friendly. So chicken strips and pizza and, fatty things. So typically the kids do eat quite a bit. So feel free to send if you think they need extra food, but know that Jane will take care of them and they'll get plenty to eat. We've started doing the camp store a little bit differently. We used to have a campers visit once during the week, but last year we tried just holding off till the dance, and we're going to do that again this year. So during the dance, everyone will be able to choose something from the store. The store is run by Camp Tapawingo, so it's just like a little snack shack that they run, and we just buy whatever it is from them, on top of our regular food. So the campers will be able to choose a candy bar, an ice cream, or something like that, and a soda, and they'll be able to have those during the Dance of the Decades, which is on our last night, Friday night at camp. On Friday night after our talent show, we will do a dance. We call it the Dance of the Decades. Campers can dress up from any decade that they like. They don't have to dress up, but a lot of kids do. It's kind of fun. So the dance is loud and chaotic and sounds terrible, but it actually turns out really well. There is a quiet area for those who don't want to participate. There are headphones available. If campers have their own headphones, you may consider sending them because it gets kind of loud, but they really like to participate. So most campers, I would say 90% of campers, end up coming out to the dance floor and participating at some point during the dance, even if it starts out that it's a little overwhelming. But it's really the most fun that we have at camp, and the campers end up feeling like it's their favorite thing. So just a heads up. So I think the costumes, that's totally up to your camper, but costumes do actually kind of help the campers come out of their shell a little bit, whether they're in character or I don't know, just having fun. The costumes are a good way to get them to engage, but not everyone wears costumes. And if your campers aren't going to participate, they'll just be probably in the chapel, which is a quieter area. They can wear headphones in there as well, because you can still hear the music. It's just not as loud, and there'll be games and activities to do in there during the dance. So campers who are in the yurts are going to go to the beach for a day. The bus will pick them up about 9 o'clock, and they'll spend most of the day at the beach. There's an indoor area there, so there's a grassy hill with an indoor area with a bathroom and picnic tables, and then you walk down the stairs and there's a beach area. So typically we have beach toys and volleyball and things to do up in the cabana where they can get out of the wind if it's windy. We have never had bad weather. Every year we've done it, which has probably been about 8 years that we've been doing this. We've never had bad weather, so fingers crossed. But it's a fun time for the kids. So they go out to the beach, they play, they have pizza. So we get Abby's pizza from Newport, and one of our friends picks it up and brings it, which is lovely. So they get pizza and snacks, and then they get back on the bus and they come back in time for dinner at camp. So the campers who are in the yurts, this is always a little bit hard to predict because we really take every camper on an individual basis. So some campers who are 17 are really still not mature enough to have the level, the more independent. Our yurt program is more independent. There's not as many counselors. They have a lot more freedom to kind of walk to and from places, things like that. The younger cabins aren't. So, you may have a 17-year-old who still needs a little more structure and needs a little bit more staff attention, or you may have a 15-year-old who is completely independent and is going to be fine to go up to the yurts. So generally we say it's 16 and older, but it's not a specific rule. We look at campers individually to decide whether they're ready or not. And also if it's a new camper, we try to start all new campers in the cabin program to get a feel for what it's like at camp. It is more structured in the cabins, and so that kind of is a good training for next year when they come back to the yurts. Oh, so if your camper is in a yurt, you'll get an email letting you know. They need to bring a camping chair. Not everyone does, but the yurt kids definitely do, because that's kind of their social place, as they all sit outside under the canopies in their chairs. And that's probably the only main difference. The yurts are a little bit hotter during the day, cooler at night, just because they're pretty much open like tents. But other than that, I think that's the main difference between cabins. So I've already mentioned it before, but it's important that you share the information with your camper so they know what to expect. They may already have some preconceived notions about what camp is like, what they're going to do there. And so the more information they have, the more prepared they will be, the less meltdowns we will have over things not going the way that they think they will. So share the menu with your camper. Like I said, this is where if there's a menu, a meal they're not going to eat, circle it and write what you've sent for them. Printing out those menus is a great idea. If you're going to have any kind of accommodation, you can just write it straight on there with their name. Review the schedule. We'll send a general schedule of this email that just kind of lets them know what happens throughout the day. You can go over the club descriptions with them. There are 6 or 7 clubs, I believe, and that is what we do in the morning. So morning clubs are a 2-hour break of time or block of time where the campers stay together all week. So if they choose the drama club, which does improv and drama games, they're going to be in drama every morning for the week. In the afternoon, there's more freedom. They can go from place to place. They can, go swimming for a while, then go do, one of the days we'll have archery, those kinds of things. So, but the morning club is where they stay. So we have Dungeons and Dragons, which Dungeons and Dragons is a game that can only have about 4 players, maybe 5. And last year we had room for, I think we had room for 10 kids and we had 25 sign up. So this was a little bit difficult. But we did do an afternoon Dungeons and Dragons session where campers could just go talk about it, create characters, kind of learn more about it, to have something for those campers who didn't get their first choice to enjoy as well. But the fishing and the pond is a popular one. That's the only time we do fishing. So if your camper wants to go fishing, that would be during a club. They would choose the pond club. Adventure goes canoeing, they go hiking, they do archery. Drama I mentioned, we have a green screen club and they have the green screen app on the iPads and they can make a video or movies or commercials or whatever the club decides. Arts and crafts, we have lots of arts and crafts. And then this year we have a music club. We'll see. We'll see if campers would like to do this or not, but it would be ukulele lessons, some drumming, and some singing. But that will also be up to the people who sign up for it. So the club itself with their leader, will decide what the structure of the club is going to be, depending on what they would like to learn. And the sports club is just general sports. So we have a volleyball court, frisbee golf, there's a basketball court, just general sports stuff. So anyways, that's sort of an overview of what our clubs are going to be. So go over those with your camper, let them know that they may not get their first choice. They will choose their club the first night when they get there. And they may or may not get their first choice, but we'll do our best to make sure they get something that they do like. So our expectations about camp. Camp is a no teasing zone, and we have this posted everywhere, no teasing zone. Teasing is one way that a lot of misunderstandings happen or miscommunications, and a lot of our campers have been teased in the past, so they automatically kind of assume the worst when someone's making a joke with them. So we just encourage campers to not tease each other at all, and we try to model that as adults as well. Camp is a safe and fun place for everyone, and I think the campers, they actually really latch on to this rule and they bring it up. They like it. They know it's safe, that they're not going to be teased. There will be no threatening language or actions allowed, saying or acting like they're going to hurt themselves or others. Any campers who do display this behavior will be sent home. This is very rare, but in a case where we feel like someone is a danger to themselves or others, we would definitely have to call you and have you come get them. So I have reviewed all the camper files and I have made lots of notes about each camper, but Corinne is our behavior specialist. You met her at the beginning of this presentation. She will be the one who will really be going through to see if we need to create more extensive individual plans for campers who need a little bit of additional support. And she will be contacting parents prior to camp if she feels that that is the case, or if there's something that she's not sure how we're going to accommodate, or just in general has questions. So she will be doing that prior to camp. If something comes up and something like a new behavior that you haven't seen before that you didn't put on their application, but it's become a regular thing, or you're anticipating it happening at camp, please just email Corinne. We do a lot of workarounds and accommodating and behavior support plans and anything to make the campers who we have successful. So the more information we have, the better we can support your camper and prepare for your camper before they come. Our camp counselors also get to read through their files and see their IEPs to see where they are, so that they're prepared for how they may what strategies they may use with your camper in particular. So the more information we have, the better. So if there's stuff that you need to let us know about, either upload it into their application or email Corinne about it, and her email is on this slide. So our camper drop-off is a drive-through drop-off. We've tried it many different ways over the years, and this seems to be the best way to transition campers. So our check-in will be between 3 and 4 o'clock. You will have an assigned time between that time that correlates with the first letter of your last name. And so you will arrive between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. You'll go through different stations. So you'll drive up, you'll check in. So the first person at the gate will just give you your name card, which you'll put in your window. Then you'll drive to me. I'll hand you your swag and welcome you, check you off that you have arrived. We have COVID screening here, but this is just when you go to the nurse's station, if you've had any symptoms of COVID or any other illness, this is where you would want to talk to the nurse about that. You're going to turn in any medications to the nurse, and also they will do a lice check. We've only had lice once, but we caught it in time and there was not an outbreak at camp, so that was great. So we'll do a quick lice check, then you will drop your camper off and you'll meet with Jane, the cook, to turn in any prepared meals. If your camper is having a hard time getting out of the car, or if they're struggling, they don't want to stay, or if you just need more time with them to say goodbye, you can pull forward. Just tell one of us and we'll show you where to pull forward, and then we'll actually send one of the counselors from their cabin down to them so that they can assist in whatever it is that you need. But before Jane, I guess I forgot to say, you actually drop your camper off, and their cabin counselors will be there to meet them, and they will take all of your things and they'll walk them to their cabin and they'll help them get settled. So you will remain in the car throughout this process. Like I said, the counselors will be waiting to walk your campers to their cabin to put their stuff away. And the first thing they'll do is they'll have a cabin meeting to get to know each other. But be calm and positive and excited for your camper. We know that most of our campers have not been away from home before, and so this can be anxiety provoking for both them and their parents. But we promise we'll take good care of them. If you're having trouble saying goodbye, just let a staff person know and we'll help. So if a camper is, like I said, really struggling, we'll help them to sort of integrate into camp before you leave. Dinner will be at 5:30. So if your camper has meds for this meal, please be sure to let the nurse know or give it to them before you leave, so that what our process is that we have several volunteer nurses. We have about 5 nurses that come the first night, and they put all the meds together in the little envelopes with the labels on them. So this takes them a few hours to do. So they're not always done by the time dinner starts. So if there is a dinner med, please make sure that you mention this to the nurse. On your application, we had you fill out an emergency contact. Please make sure that that emergency contact person is available during camp in case of emergency. So I know some families like to go on a vacation while their kids are at camp. Totally fine, but just make sure that we do have someone that we can contact that could come get them, or that would be available in case of emergency. We have camp nurses, so we have 2 camp nurses the entire week. Like I said before, we have multiple nurses the first night. So they will respond to any medical needs. They'll evaluate anything. They will be in charge of all meds and records and all of that stuff. So they're great. They've both been with us for quite some time. And so they know what they're doing. So any other challenges that are not medical will definitely be handled by the camp directors, which is Corinne and I, and other team members as they arise. Obviously, all of our kids have autism, so we understand that there are going to be more difficulties than you might have at a typical camp, and that's why we do camps. So we can support all of those things and help our campers to be successful. So some of our strategies are we have 2 to 1 adults to campers. We have additional camper supports during the day, so we have day volunteers that come. So it's often higher. Than 2 campers to 1 counselor. So typically we have 80 campers. This year we are doing a young adult program. We're piloting that, and there will be 10 additional campers in tents that will join us. So we'll have 90 campers. We have about 40 counselors, and then give or take 7 to 10 other folks that are around during the camp. So for safety reasons, any camper that threatens the safety of others or themselves will be asked to go home. I already mentioned this before. It's very rare. We will work through things and we will evaluate them as we go. We take it on a case-by-case basis, but that just so you know, if that is a problem, then that will be something we do call home for. Our goal is that every single camper have a successful week, so we're ready. We will be very prepared, very structured. We will not spring any changes or any midnight swims on the campers. So things that we use are visual schedules. We will have our schedules posted all over. We have clear expectations and rules around everything we do. We do use the 5-point scale for emotions. I know some kids don't really love this, but it is helpful for them when they have a hard time communicating with us. We will have breaks and quiet time when the campers need it, and we will aim for smooth transitions with countdowns and lots of notice. And then just another thing to note that we take a lot of time placing campers in different cabins. So we look at the camper profile and try to match them with other kids we think they would be alike or have, be good friends with. So for example, if there's multiple kids who don't like noisy people, then we are not going to put a noisy kid there. But if there's other kids who don't, who are noisy, we put them with other noisy kids. Or, if there's like 4 kids who are just really into like D&D, we might put those kids together. So we take a lot of different factors. We don't just look at age or grade. We look at interests, we look at abilities, and we try to match the campers with other campers who we think they would be good friends with. And the same thing with the counselors. We take a lot of time to place our counselors so that we have a good mix. We have a lot of counselors with autism, so we have at least 1 adult with autism in every group. And we have a mix of different types of personalities, different ages, different college students, professionals, all different types of people who are our counselors in our program. Yeah. I guess I got a little ahead of myself and went through this earlier, but these are the clubs that we will have this year. Oh, I don't see on there. I'll add it. We also have boffering. So boffering is foam sword fighting, for those of you who don't know. And boffering is one of the most loved activities that we do at camp. Jonathan Chase is our counselor who runs that, and he also runs groups in the community for buffering. It's a good social skill building. There's lots of structured rules to it, but they have battles with their swords. So it's pretty fun. But so in the morning club, we will have buffering in the club. Those campers will be able to build swords and battle. In the afternoon, we will not be building swords. We will only be battling. So this is a distinction that we have to make sure that campers are choosing wisely when they choose which club that they would like. So we also have science, fishing, drama, D&D, archery and adventure, iPad green screen, arts and crafts, sports, and music. So we try to target about 10 kids per group. Buffering will have 20, and some of the other ones can take more, but that's just the overall layout of how we do clubs. So like I said, make sure that you talk to your campers about this ahead of time so that they're ready to choose on their first night of camp. On the last day of camp on Saturday morning, basically all we do that morning is we clean up, we do group pictures, we say goodbye, we have breakfast, we clean the cabins. So the campers will actually be ready to be picked up between 9:45 and 10:45. And again, you will be given a time slot according to the first letter of your last name. So this is on Saturday the 29th. Please arrive as close as you can to that time slot so that we don't have a large backup of people. Also, sometimes it gets sad for the campers whose parents are late because they're sitting there waiting and they feel forgotten. And we do our best to, none of us leave. We all hang out with them and make sure that they're having fun right up until you arrive. But please try to be on time so that we don't have the situation where a camper is waiting by themselves. I mean, with us, but with no other campers. Okay. We do not allow any visitors at camp, so parents, after you drop off, you won't see your campers again until Saturday. We do have day volunteers, so if you know of anybody who would like to come join us for the day, they can check that out on our website. All camp payments are due by July 1st. So if you go back onto our website and you click into the camper application, you can log into your account and your balance should be there and it should be correct. So you just pay with credit card on that. If you do not want to pay with credit card, I will take checks as well. You can just send those to the email or to the address, the PO box on our website. But it's easiest if you just pay it on the website. But either way will be fine. And those are due by July 1st. So please get that in as soon as you can. It's normal to be nervous about camp. Sometimes it's harder for the parents. So especially first-time parents, I think anybody who's campers who have been there before, which is usually about 2/3 of our campers who are returning, it's a breeze. The campers are just like, bye mom, bye dad, and they're out the door. So, but for newer campers, it can be difficult. So we recognize this. Just make sure that you're positive and excited, and we will be too. We will know their name when they arrive, and we will do our best to make them feel comfortable right from the start. And then, as I've said many times, making sure that you go over the information with your camper that I shared today will help alleviate some of that anxiety for them and maybe for you as well. So. We have never met a camper who did not have fun at camp. We have fun at camp. Adults and kids have fun. We've lots of fun activities and getting to know the campers, and they're just pretty amazing kids. So we will all be having fun. We will challenge campers to do activities that are new and sometimes uncomfortable, and we'll give them the freedom to choose things that are comfortable. So we're not going to get in any power struggles over activities. Our main rule is that the campers have to stay with the group, but that sometimes means they need to stay, 10 feet away or if they can't participate, but that we will stay with the group. So we're not going to force anybody to do any activities, but our line is that we just have to be together so that no one's ever alone in the cabins or one counselor with one camper. We have a rule of 3, so we will always be anywhere there are if there's one camper and one counselor, another person will go along with them for sure. So, because of safety, we just keep everybody in the group. Let's see, we will challenge them to make friends and interact with other campers. We don't do any direct therapy. We don't talk about autism unless the campers do, but we do a lot of role modeling. So we model good behavior. We model good social skills. We, start conversations between 2 other campers, and we really try to get them to engage with each other and to get to know each other. And we will watch as they become comfortable with the campers, counselors, and the systems we've set up, and we'll get to see them have fun. We'll take lots of pictures so that you can see it too, and then you can see it on Facebook, which I have mentioned before. I hope this was helpful. I know I went over a lot of information, but feel free to ask any questions if you have them. If they're related to behavior, Corinne would probably be the best person, but I can also answer most everything if you would like to email me. I'm much better at answering emails than I am phone calls, so email me if you have a question. But yeah, thank you for watching this, and I look forward to seeing all of your campers on July 25th.